Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Talk with OS. As you know, the way we do it, we explore entertainment law and legal profession. Our focus is on the legal professionals and the music business generally. This is what we do. This is our lifestyle. Yeah, we want to make a quick shout out to our sponsors, OS World One. OS World One is one of the top music marketing companies in the industry, and they've been doing perfectly well. Want to say a special shout out to Aret's Kitchen. They've been supporting our brand. Want to say a special shout out to Adeniji Favor, Okedin Romuro, Moluwa, Darasimi, Akande Blessing. Your team has been wonderful and we love you all. Today is the today. Yeah, because I have a very special person. He's someone I respect a lot. He's a father, he's a mentor, he's a spiritual father. The spiritual father to me. Yeah, he's not just someone. He's a professor of law. You know what I'm saying? Do you know what it takes to be a professor of law? And he's not just a professor of law. He has done my lord objection. Other stuff. Yeah. So in person of Professor Jemilohun. You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you, Opoyemi. Good afternoon, everybody, on this show. It's nice to be here live and direct.
Trust me, he's a very busy man though. I had to I didn't have to go through that stress. He's my big daddy, so we know how to cajole ourselves. Today, the tag of this episode is from the courtroom to the classroom.
Great.
Because I heard you say at one point or the other that you practiced for a while before switching into the professional field, and now you didn't just switch to the professional field from BSc to MSc to doctorate, and now a professor. My God, bro, pray for grace. So yeah, I'm just gonna dive into it, sir.
Okay.
You were practicing as a lawyer.
Yes.
What was the motivation for you to leave legal practice to switch into academy?
All right, thank you, Ope. As a matter of fact, after I was called to the Nigerian Bar in 1991, I didn't transition from the courtroom to the classroom like that. I first passed through the boardroom route. I worked with a law firm who were heavily into litigation in Ilorin, and for a while I had my own law firm in Lagos practicing, not so large cases, but enough to keep you occupied as a lawyer. But after a while, I felt I wanted the boardroom experience, so I got employed as a legal officer in a commercial bank. And I was with them for a while. Then I crossed to a bigger group that had to deal with banking, insurance, oil and gas, mortgage banking, probably commercial banking, even aviation. Worked with them for a while. And it was the corporate world where I was moving before I realized that my ultimate fulfillment will come from the classroom. Now, the motivation for me to leave the boardroom angle for the classroom is my desire to impact and impart knowledge to the younger generation. For me as a person, I have come to the conclusion that the best investment a man can make is to invest in people. And that's not limited to your immediate family or your larger family, but humanity, as a bigger family. And since I joined the academia in 2002, September 2nd, precisely, it's not been a very smooth and easy road, but it's been worth the pursuit. And I think I can look back, the beautiful thing with the academia is every time you see your former students doing well, you see your students. Today I have a former student who is a professor of law like myself. You see a former student doing well in the industry, in legal practice, in educational institutions. Even sometimes you travel and you meet somebody at the airport, and with his suit and tie, he comes to give you a bow. He says, "Good afternoon, sir. I was your student and so place." It's fantastic. So the opportunity to touch the younger generation, to mold lives, to impact values, to build a culture of responsibility and a culture of profitable change motivates me for the classroom job. And I don't have any regrets.
I really want to impact life like you, sir, but trust me, I'm not going into that classroom.
Because you want the money.
Yeah, I don't know, but then I've spent 5 years in the university, 1 year in the law school, I still have to serve.
You need money.
money.
Actually, the average young person believes that the lecture room job is an agreement with poverty or penury. But for us, it's not the money. There's no money in the academia, but there is this beauty and there's a pleasure that comes seeing people that your hands molded. Let me say this. My biggest excitement happened in March this year when my biological daughter was called to the bar. And I told people that after 22 years of teaching other people's children,
wow,
God granted me grace to have somebody born of my own body becoming a lawyer. It's beautiful teaching people. Money may not be there. You may have some deprivations, some lags, some insufficiencies, some abnegations. Well, but overall, we can't but thank God for the privilege.
Well, I wouldn't say it isn't rewarding, because the reward, what we see as reward as people is different. So what is rewarding to me might not be as rewarding to you, sir. So I would really want to credit you for it, because it's a big step, oh my dear. You know, I have to go from the legal, my lord, I'm a legal professional, my lord, and students, can you please stop your noise? Let me talk. The transition is something, but yeah, let me put this question like this. What would you now say is the difference between practicing as a lawyer, then working in the academic field? What would the difference?
Well, the two sides are actually like two sides of the same coin. The lawyer in the courtroom is primarily an intermediary between the client and the judge. The lawyer's job primarily is to marry law to fact and seek justice for his clients. Even though Rundle and Worsley tells us that a lawyer is not the mouthpiece of his client, he has a greater duty to justice. He's a minister in the temple of justice. The lawyer in the courtroom works for a select group. Most times individual clients, sometimes corporate clients, and sometimes communities. The lawyer in the classrooms works for the future. He builds people. He trains people. He energizes the younger generation with a cause worth fighting for. And so for me as a person, a lawyer who is trained in Nigeria can go anywhere where he feels his potentials and talents are much needed, where he feels his capacity will be much more, manifest. But I just see the two now because of economic realities. One is more profitable financially than the other. There's more money in legal practice than in the classroom. All right? Yes, one single brief can give you a professor's annual salary. Today in Nigeria, the average professor earns about 500,000 naira a month. When you are, in fact, in public universities, you at bar, you earn like maybe 430,000 or whatever. Apart from the recent change, is that poor? Is that poor? But in practice, you could do a single brief and you have 300 million naira. Not for a fresh lawyer, anyway. So there's more money in practice. The lawyer in the courtroom has access to more funds, has access to political goodwill, has access to business connections. But the lawyer in the classroom is a molder of minds, all right, and a designer of destinies. So for me as a person, it's a privilege. I've been taught by very good teachers. The last of my teachers was my PhD supervisor, whom till tomorrow is still my oga. He's still a professor of law, Professor Ifedayo Akomolede. And I see him till tomorrow as a mentor and as a role model. And I'm also in the business. What drives me, one, I see there's room to serve God. Then secondly, the fact that people like you, intelligent, brilliant, forward-looking, can't write your history without me.
Definitely. Damn. Pin down.
I am a part of your life work. Whereas the lawyer in the courtroom may not even have anything to do with you for his entire career. But me, you can't judge me.
That's a big
So
point.
it's a measure of satisfaction that I am one of them who has been found fit to build young people and make lawyers, and we also make scholars. Remember, as a professor, we don't only teach people to go to law school, we also teach postgraduate students, people who do masters, people who do PhD. We also generate manpower again for the educational system. So it's beautiful, it's fulfilling.
It's beautiful. For lawyers out there, I can advise you guys to switch. Switch, you'll be fine. Can you imagine? Professors are collecting 500k. That's
or less.
Or less. That's like young lawyers one night at the club or at a party.
They blow it.
Well, the good part is you said the rewarding parts, and I think all that matters is the fulfillment, and our professor here is fulfilled.
I am,
for real.
I'm thankful to God.
But then, most of the time when we had conversation, you always reference your wife, and whenever I'm praying, I'll be like, God, I want to get married to a good woman, and give me the grace to love her like the way my professor loved his wife. Give me the grace to reverend my wife like this. But then, when your wife was getting married to you, she got married to a lawyer.
Yeah, that's true.
My husband is a legal practitioner. My husband is fighting for the just.
No, I was working in the bank when we got married. I was in the corporate sector when we got married.
Oh, okay.
But beyond the issue of my career, what's the synergy point between my wife and me was more about the fact that our lives were open to God leading us in the future.
So she was willingly and readily to welcome the idea of you transiting into the academy.
My wife is a professor of engineering today. Both of us are in the academia.
Are you sure she wasn't the one that influenced you?
No. I'm the one that influenced her. In our marriage, we do not believe in having two heads. That would make a monster.
Okay.
I'm the head of the home. She's my wife. When I was moving to the academia, of course, I informed her and I shared with her the dream and the possibilities of room to impact and influence people. And I went to my vice chancellor then, who incidentally was my supervisor at first degree at the University of Lagos. And I said, sir, I'm presuming my wife would also like to lecture. And they said, oh, fine. And I said, my wife has second class honors, upper division in engineering, electrical electronics. They said, oh, fine, go bring her papers. So she was also interviewed and given a job. And today she's a professor of engineering. So my choice of going to the academia has paid off. Both of us are there. And we may not have money, but we're happy.
No. What's money where happiness exists? There's nothing like that.
So
the happiness is all that
we are
so it can be accepted that your family took it in the right way and they were quite supportive.
Oh yes.
That's wonderful. Then I also realized that every time when you talk, you reference God. That's something I've been trying to improve myself on. I'm a Christian. I'm a God-fearing person. I take my spiritual life serious. God, if I change it here now, Holy Ghost will come down. But that apart, to be candid, I told you guys that he's a mentor to me. He's not just academically mentoring me, because when we speak, in fact, before I forget, God, my wife, anywhere you did, me and her, we have to come and have a sit down with you and your wife. We're going to have a comprehensive conversation about marriage, supporting each other. Then he made a statement, the husband and the wife coming together should be one.
Yes.
The moment there are two, it's become a monster.
Yeah, we can't have two heads in a marriage. There will be one head and the other person follows. And that's the way God ordained it. The husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church. But the head, even in human physiology, does not oppress or victimize or disdain or disrespect the body. The head values the body. So when you have your toe, crushed by a stone, your head doesn't say cut off the toe. Your head tells your hand to pamper the toe, apply medication, and have the toe healed. So we believe in unity in marriage. We believe in mutual submission, mutual support, but there is a head of the home, and the head is me, under God, and run our home like that. But that doesn't make me despise my wife's counsel. My wife is given to me as a support and as a wisdom channel.
The God factor.
Yes.
I love the fact that the God factor is like a bedrock in everything, almost everything you do, sir. So now, how has the God factor influenced your... The truth is, practicing as a lawyer in Nigeria or in anywhere out of a part of the world, law is rewarding, accepted. But if you want law to be rewarding, there are some times that you might have to just do like this a little bit. Not necessarily, but you can't uphold the 100% of your child of God, if you want to make like the soft
you think so?
I'm coming from an angle.
Okay.
Then in the corporate world, working in the bank, sleeping with that, working with that loads of money you are in the corporate department, you might not necessarily have to deal with the money.
True.
But then where I'm coming from is that definitely matters will arise there might be a dispute between your Christ-like and ethic. There's difference between morality, law, and ethics. But now there might be a clash where your the God factor and the work requirement is coming in. Now let me bring it to the academy also. There are times that we are all human. Temptations might come or different circumstances might come. How have you I know for sure, this is hard to say, but I know for sure that Professor Jemilohun here will not compromise his standards. That I know for sure. I don't know about tomorrow, but as of today that I know, and as of yesterday that I know, we are human now. I don't pray our Prof changes, but then we are human.
I understand you.
So Ben, how have you been able to how should I put the English to maneuver
or to navigate my pathway,
the legal, the corporate, and the
academic
my
Christian
field,
life, and
upholding. It's not everybody is Christian. We can all be Christian, but upholding that Christian kini gong. How have you been able to
manage it?
To manage that?
Okay, that's a good question that the average lawyer would like to have some peep into. But the bottom line of my entire life stand is this, that Jesus himself is a lawyer. Now, in the Gospels, you find a scenario in John chapter 8 where a woman was caught in adultery and was to be stoned, and they brought her to Jesus. And they said, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Moses in the law commanded that such should be stoned. What sayest thou? And the Bible records that Jesus didn't say anything. And he bent down and he kept on writing what he was writing before, as if he didn't hear them. And when they continued pestering him, the Bible says that Jesus lifted up himself and made one single statement. He that is without sin among you, let him cast the first stone. And he bent down again, he continued writing. And one by one, because they were pricked by their conscience, they began to leave. The woman was left alone. Now, what Jesus did in that passage was a lawyer's job. He defended that woman without breaking the law. He appealed to a higher law, the law of conscience, the law of human frailty, the law of human limitation. Now, the truth is this. There is nobody on the earth who at one point or the other wouldn't have been tempted to compromise his ethics or his principles. But when your understanding of eternal judgment and the fact that God has more power to reward, all right, than any earthly system can do, you are careful with your convictions. Without laying any claim to perfection, I strive daily to live by the Bible. That's what I do. Now, as a lawyer, you also remember, you will soon learn this in the law school, you are not under compulsion to take every case that comes to you. You can object on grounds of conscience. As an academic, my job is a lot easier. The first thing I try to do with all sense of responsibility, I try to do my job, teach my students. If I teach well and I examine well, temptations to falsify marks will be almost zero. If I do my job well. Of course, there are systems where people come to you and say, Mr. Dr. Professor, this student failed, can you do something? And I tell them straight up, I don't do anything. I don't have to falsify marks. I don't have to alter records for any purpose. I have never done it. And I don't think I will do it. When I was even a much more junior lecturer, God has helped me. I've always found mentors in the system too. People who are above me, who also kept records of integrity, all right, and moral uprightness. And with their support and their guidance, one was able to navigate the pathway. But I can guarantee anybody listening or watching one fact. If your mind is made up to honor God in the discharge of your professional duties, God is going to make a way for you.
Amen.
That is just Him. And so my challenge to people like you, upcoming, with God's gifts in your life, is as you put God first, honor Him in deed and in truth. And you find out that those who are asking you to compromise also will be happier if you obey God. We have had instances where, as a lawyer, somebody wants to give you money to, ruin the case of your own client. People do. The lawyer come. How much is that person offering you? I'll pay you triple. Can you just remove this document from, from his own evidence? And you need to realize that you are a minister in the temple of justice, and you give an account to God for the life you live. So this eternal dimension of eventual accountability should help us to walk straight. And then one other thing is, we must enjoy the fellowship of people of like minds. So when you are tempted or you are pressurized to do what is wrong, there are people you relate with, people you discuss with, who will also strengthen your convictions and tell you, hey, that pathway is not worth it. But I can tell you, God gives help all the way.
Based on the God factor, I just want to bring one more question. You have you've worked at different university, at different capacity in different university.
Yeah.
Now, with your qualification as a professor, I haven't had this relationship. I haven't had this encounter with professors, but we've had stories. Not all professors, but we've had stories of professors trying to make life hard for students. Some refusal to deliver, to give marks. Some even say you can't have A in my course. Then apart from that, let's deal with God has blessed Nigeria with a lot of pretty ladies, and no matter how even our ladies at the back of the camera, they are so fine. No matter how upright you are as a man, there's a part of you that will see a pretty lady, you want to analyze, and you want to just before you can call yourself to Holy Spirit, come back here. But now, okay, being a professor is a position of power.
Correct.
Influence.
Correct.
And a lot of professors have used this. I don't want to say destroy students' life, but of course,
some have destroyed students' lives.
Now, this is where I'm coming from. If you find yourself in an institution, or if you have found yourself in an institution, or if you are going to find yourself in an institution where something like that is happening, either you are involved, let's say you are involved, how would you want to deal with it? Or if you are not involved, okay, let's say you are in a law faculty, but then it's happening in another faculty. With the God factors and the position you've taken in student life as a pillar, how best would you try to rectify that? Because we can't even lie, these are things that
realities
that is happening right now.
Okay. Now the truth is this: being a professor is a privilege, is a great privilege, and it's also a position of immense opportunities. And every human being who understands that times and seasons happen to all know that there is going to be an end sooner or later. As a lecturer one in a university in Nigeria, I've had to fight a professor over sexual harassment of a female student.
Wow.
Yes, and I did all I could with God's grace. I rescued the girl with the support of my PhD supervisor, who was my dean then. I rescued the girl, and the girl is happily married today without compromising her moral stand with that philandering professor. Now, the truth is this: there will always be challenges everywhere, all right? There will be attractions everywhere. Anywhere you put men and women, there will be attractions. But rules are also in place, okay, to serve as limitations and to serve as, how do I put it now, reminders as to how far you can go. The beautiful thing is, when you see a beautiful lady as a lecturer, whether you're a professor or not, realize that she's entrusted to your care. Lecturers run their business because students are in the school to learn. And I'm one of those that believe in the safe space policy. I use the phrase safe space a lot because I feel the girl child should have a safe space to learn. In July, 9th of July, I was in Abuja Continental Hotel to give an overview of the anti-sexual harassment policy designed by the ICPC and an NGO called Gender Mobile Initiative. And just last Thursday, I was at Osun State Government Secretariat to speak to heads of tertiary institutions about that policy and the need to have an effective framework to combat sexual harassment in tertiary institutions. So those are my personal commitments. And so for me as a father and as a lecturer, students are not my prey. All right? Students are part of the process. Students are an active part of the system. They will take over from us tomorrow. We must see them as people we invest in for a healthier, a safer, and a better society. And wherever I am and I have the opportunity to influence policies, will drive the same view. Whether you are male or you are female, you have a right to a safe space. You have a right to be free from intimidation, whether it's gender-based violence or whatever. You have a right to study under a healthy and a conducive atmosphere. That is what makes learning profitable learning. So as the days run on, we do our best, all right? We strive, we influence people to do things right. But with one consciousness, whatever we do, we will earn the result sooner or later.
So it's a tough one. I need to drink to that.
Please drink water, feel free.
Then sir, what would you say is your key takeaway from this transition into the academic field?
Well, the simple truth is find where you are best and engage yourself. Not everybody makes the best choice the first time. All right? When I left school, I couldn't have joined the academia early. Excuse me. I needed to work, and get some things settled. But as I entered the foray of the marketplace, I just realized that I think part of my gifting is communication. And I will do well, all right, in the classroom. And I tell people, wherever you find yourself, engage yourself wholly. Now, if you are in practice, and you find out that when you in the courtroom, you want to explain everything to the judge, you have this knack for, going the whole length of detail. With your juniors in chambers, you love to teach and teach more. Why not come to the classroom? For example, Ope, you have begun to channel a path for yourself. Entertainment law. You have begun to do that, and you don't want the classroom. Not because you are not good, but because you feel you can do better elsewhere.
Very well.
It's as simple as that. And it's not just the classroom or the courtroom, the boardroom. There are also policy makers. All right? There are administrators who are lawyers who are doing fantastically well. What we encourage, what we advocate that people should do is find, where you are best suited for and engage yourself there. But wherever you are, don't do nothing. Do something. If you're in practice, put in effort. If you're in the classroom, do the job well. One thing that pisses me off in the last more than 2 decades that I've been teaching is having lecturers who don't go to class. You don't go to class to teach. I've had people say, even if I teach those students, do they understand? And I'm like, why don't you also say, even if I had no salary, will I not be okay? You wouldn't be okay. And so my take is, find where you are best suited for, and it's never too late to make a right turn. It's never too late to make a right turn.
This last statement, I have a question I was keeping for the later part.
Okay.
But I think I need to raise it now because we have to go with the flow of how the Spirit is leading us right now as a Spirit-filled fellow. What would you say is the most impacting story of your career? A story that changed the course of your life, that impacted you strongly?
That's difficult. That's difficult. I can't pinpoint one particular story. My life has been a patchwork of patterns of grace And like I tell people, I'm the product of the labors of many men. I'm not a self-made man. People labor to build me. Teachers, mentors, pastors, instructors, beginning from my parents. As I sit here with you, Okwe, I still have people who I look up to for counsel, for advice, for wisdom. In fact, there are people that can tell me, you want to travel to England? Don't travel yet. And I will postpone my trip.
Is it for spiritual related or for as their capacity as a mentor?
Because of the way I place them in my life, I submit to them. I do not live my life as a horse that is off the race. I believe so strongly in being accountable to people and being responsible to people. So my life has been one of several interventions, several experiences. But you know, some of the things I enjoyed, I must confess, is when I see former students remembering me. It's thrilling when somebody says, during the 2022 ASU 8-month strike, I was glad when some students would be like, sir, how are you coping? I remember you, please send your account.
I love that.
No, these are former students. On no account will a student I'm teaching give me anything that I will take. Up where you know, you can't even buy me Tom Tom as my student. I won't take it from you.
If your birthday is coming up and we just want to surprise you as my lecturer, you won't take that?
No, I don't want. I will want that from former students.
What if it's like, okay, let's say it's not a consumable gift, like a portrait?
Oh yeah, those are things that are memorials that honor the students and the teacher. Okay, I don't mind such things.
So it doesn't mean, that means it's not like you don't accept gifts, but the types of gifts that you accept.
No, I don't want any gift from students generally. Ethically, it's against my ethics, it's against my principle. But if you are bringing a frame in honor of a class, that's a memorial. That is not a gift, so to speak. It is just to tell people that we are paid for the job. We also do the job. All right? But when former students who we have taught remember you, it doesn't have to be all the time money. Yes, you know, imagine where you at Heathrow Airport in London, okay, and you are carrying a bag, you know, with, you know, books and one with clothes you bought. And somebody comes and says, hi, Prof, you taught me maybe in Adeleke University. And everybody is looking at you. One day I was in OAU Ife. In the early days of my scholarship, I was to start MPhil PhD in Ife. Then, and I entered a cafe. And about 5 people rose up and say, Oga, come and sit down. And others were looking, who is the Oga? And all the 5 guys were former students of UNAT, lawyers, who are also there for LLM program. I was there for MPhil PhD then. And the kind of honor I felt in those few minutes, I can't forget it.
You know this King Sunday song, Taba wo lo, taba pade yi lono, oye ka pada sile.
Okay, I don't know much about Sunny Ade, but that statement you made resonates.
Exactly, sir.
It's a Yoruba voice of wisdom.
Yes.
You know, if you are looking for money and you now meet honor, but sometimes you also need to get money so that your stomach does not go hungry. All right, you don't go hungry. But the truth is that it's beautiful seeing your products rising, you know, making impact, making waves. And I'm always excited when a student I wrote a referee for a master's or PhD finishes and they say, Prof, I'm done with the program. I want to thank you for the reference you gave me. Such things excite my mind, and I'm glad when I see former students and they don't walk past you. You know, when we have seen students who are victims of harassment in school walk past former teachers without honor. You know, imagine I see someone like Rachel, okay, Jiro, and Rachel maybe with the husband, you know, maybe we meet at the airport in New Jersey or San Francisco, and Rachel kneels down and the husband prostrates in America and says, Prof, good to see you. You can't buy that.
You can't.
That is honor for the African.
But
it's bigger than money.
The way you're flowing now, I can say you love defeat so much. So are you saying now there has never been a point of regret or probably regretting any decision, any step, either, I don't know. Of
coming to the academics?
Yes, sir.
In all sincerity, I've never regretted being a teacher.
Or miss any part of the legal
Well, the truth is, so once in a while, when the economy runs comatose, you remember But I must confess, as somebody who God has helped, I'm thankful for this job. And you know, one other thing I do is I just try to live within my means. It has saved me from a lot of embarrassment. That my mates are buying cars doesn't mean I should buy a car. I've never regretted being a teacher, even though there was a point I felt unjustly treated. I remember a time up when the High Court judge called me that he was told that it was only my course that his daughter failed, that I should, remark. And I told him, my Lord, I'm sorry, once I'm done with marking, I do not tamper with scripts. And he went to the dean of the faculty and he lied against me that I sexually harassed his daughter and failed the girl. At that point, I felt unfairly treated. But I remember telling the dean then, I hope he's still alive, and the judge too, that, Dean, sir, the girl's script, my marking scheme, and the exam script are all intact. You can remark. And I went a little bit spiritual, if you permit me to share the story. And I said they should set up a panel, that I will come to the panel with one broomstick and tell the girl to swear by a broomstick that I ever made any amorous intention to her. And there is a broomstick that will kill the girl. But I said nothing. They couldn't do anything. Nobody could set up any panel. Because it was a lie. I felt unfairly treated, But beyond that, largely, I enjoyed the classroom. And I love my students doing well. It's been a fulfilling job, actually. And I'm thankful to God. If I have a chance to come back to this world, if it happens, I would love again to be late. In fact, I will join the academic quicker and become a professor earlier.
Aha, okay. The prof side is something. But is the professor the accolades that go with being a professor, is it equivalent with that of a senior advocate of Nigeria?
No. A senior advocate of Nigeria, as you know, is a rank awarded by the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee that is headed by the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And you become a SAN if you are at least 10 years at the bar and you have been of a special distinction in practice. Now, the rules even permit only one academic in a year. The current set, well, we can say that a million times. The current set of SANs that were made recently has only Professor Yemi, from Unilag, as the only academic who was made a SAN. And I feel lawyers in practice are unfairly treating lawyers in the classroom. There are a lot of lawyers in the classroom who are also contributing to the development of the law by our teaching, by our research, by our writings, and the system should not deprive us of becoming senior advocates of Nigeria. But while a SAN is a honor in legal practice, a professor is a prince in the academia. And when you're a professor, a lot is expected of you in character, in composure, in comportment, in compliance with rules and regulations, in the way you actually manifest erudition. A lot is expected. People expect that you have matured over the years and you are suited to run systems in the university.
I think maybe, just maybe, there might be a need to take some step whereby we can make the Council of the Legal Education to pay more attention to the academia. Because if we look at it, lawyers go through the academia before they could even go to law school and become a lawyer. So if we are not taking if we are removing the part of the academia, how are we going to train these future lawyers? So I think maybe, just maybe the lawyers in the academic aspect of the field has not voiced out enough, or they are not taking more steps to, sometimes the Bible said the kingdom of heaven is suffereth violence and the
I like that. And the violent take it by force.
Maybe, I'm just saying.
Matthew chapter 12 verse 11, I think so.
I was going to say that. Not today, Sha.
It's all right. Now, the truth is, it's not the job of the Council of Legal Education. It's more of the job of the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee to adjust the criteria for becoming a senior advocate. As a lawyer, I'm 34 at the bar.
Wow.
And yes, I was called to the bar December 1991. I feel it's unfair of academics to be shut out. It should be a free field. If you are fit to become a son, whether you're an academia or not, apply. But there is a subtle jealousy that lawyers in practice envy academic lawyers becoming professors.
But they're making more money. What's
They
wrong?
do. It's just human nature. But I'm hoping that provision will be reviewed with time, giving room. I feel that one academic limitation is just too small.
Out of maybe hundreds.
Yes.
Of
In the past, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't. But suddenly, it just became one per year. And a lot of us feel it's bad. But you know, sometimes too, you don't want to shout about it. I'm not interested in becoming a son, okay? All I want is influence in the classroom. Although I would like it that government changes our living conditions and make things better. But I've never been excited being a son. But I'm happy I'm going to the peak of my career as an academic, and I seek to add value to the system. I will be happy one day if I become a vice chancellor, or if I become the DG of the law school. I would love such opportunities where I can do more in building the younger generation. But I also think that the son issue should be looked at again. Maybe now we have a new CJN. Maybe senior academics can make a presentation and seek a review.
Okay, let me bring two more questions, then we'll play a quick game.
Okay.
Now, so this one, I'm going to say, for a lawyer who wishes to transit into the academy,
okay,
what are the basic skills he will need to be successful? Then, will it be easy for a lawyer to transit back into the legal field from academies?
Yes, okay. The primary thing is that you're trained as a lawyer. And that primary training is the bedrock you need to switch between the classroom, okay, the courtroom, or even the boardroom. Now, to lecture, the minimum qualification you should have is a master's degree in law. Minimum.
Master degree.
Now, because of demand, most faculties of law want you to have a PhD in law before you come in. Yes, there is a need for more PhD holders in law. But if you don't have a PhD yet and you have an opportunity, you must have a master's that is capable of going further, not a terminal LLM result. Masters that can go further either into the MPhil program, the MPhil PhD program, or the full PhD program, and be ready to also pursue a PhD, all right, in research. And then when you get in the system, you teach. Now, one soft skill you need as an academic, you want to teach, is you must have communication skills. It is beautiful when you are a lecturer and you communicate effectively, and students can understand, you can explain things to them. So you need what we call communication skills. You need listening skills. You need to be able to hear, especially if you are teaching lower level classes. You need to be able to break down core concepts, in very simple language and help your students, grasp what you are teaching. And if you want to go back into practice, it is also very, very possible. All you need to do, all right, is to just get a law firm that will take you. Since you're already a lawyer before, it's not a big deal. You can cross into that way. It is easier to go back to practice than to enter the academy, because in the academia you need higher qualifications. But practice, your LLB and your call to bar, it's enough to start.
So I have one more question.
Yes.
Then I said we are going to play a quick game.
I hope you will not defeat me in the game.
I know that it's actually simple. Okay, but I won't jump the gun, of course. What would be can you give like a call to action to listeners, to students, to lawyers, to the academician, and people who are planning to transit either from one to the other, vice versa? All
right, well, if I will give you a call to action, I will ask you to take responsibility for your life and your journey. If you are a student, take responsibility. If you are a lawyer, take responsibility. One thing that is lacking in this generation is we have an entitlement mentality and we're not willing to take responsibility. People want more, they want to do less. And that is one big bane of societal development. The urge to receive more and the sluggishness to give out more. So if you want to be a lawyer, the average student today doesn't want to read. Social media has taken over the hearts of many young people. People are not willing to engage in mental exercises anymore. You can't be a lawyer if you don't like to read. So to the law students, to the lawyer out there, to everybody out there, take responsibility. And let's be willing to do more. Let's be willing to offer more. Let's be willing to stretch ourselves. Not really stress ourselves, but stretch and achieve more. The world needs more productivity. But the average person wants to. That's why even in Nigeria, the politicians are grabbing. And the system is collapsing. Let each person take responsibility.
It's been a wonderful time for real, and I for one person, I don't know, even if it's just for me, I have learned so much, and in fact I have a different point of view, a different way of seeing the world, of seeing the profession, and I won't lie to you, sir, it's been all about money to me. Well, God forgive me, but then it's been all about money. I want to contribute into people's life.
Beautiful.
But I just want to do it in a different way or form, because we all have different cross to carry.
Correct.
We have different paths to take, and everybody cannot be Professor Jemilohun.
I agree with you.
So let me play a quick game. Okay. So it's just, I'm going to ask a question very fast. You don't have to think about it. You just have to answer them.
Ah, okay.
Simple, sir.
Let me hope I will pass.
You definitely pass. Shall we?
Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, go. Football or wrestling?
Wrestling.
Movie or music?
Movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I should do more of musical.
Okay. I'll follow your advice.
Reading or teaching?
Teaching.
Bible or books?
Bible.
Sir?
The Bible is a combination of many books. So Bible.
Listening or talking?
Talking.
Rice or beans?
Both.
Your wife or me?
My wife.
Oh!
There's a law in Nigeria that prohibits same-sex
Okay.
emotional relationship. It's a 14-year jail term.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Imagine if I go to jail now, I'll be about 70 when I come out. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't want that. My wife and I need to come and sit down with you and your wife.
That would be a beautiful opportunity.
Matrimony.
We'll assist and gist you and talk with you.
Thank you so very much for coming,
you,
sir. Dr. Professor Jemilohun has been he's a very busy man, and I was lucky because I just walked into his office and I was like, sir, I have my next episode of my podcast and I want you to come in. It was like, what's it all about? You know, I don't do music stuff. I said, we do entertainment, we do legal profession, and you have been a man a lot of us have been looking up to. And during class hour, your time is limited to the academy, but there's more we'd love to know about you, and you just pick it up. Even today, we had a lot of delay, and he had to take his time. You know, it's not easy to get someone to do like that.
I appreciate the opportunity.
I tap into the anointing of humility because it takes humility. The kind of person I am, I don't have that kind of patience, and I just say, okay, yeah, next time. But then, it's one thing I have learned also. So I want to say a big shout out to all our teams that makes this that makes today becomes a success. I want to say a big thank you to Magic Lens. I want to say a big thank you to our producer, Mr. Jiga. You almost fall my hand, but then at the end of the program we forget about the little technicalities that want to come up. We just move on. And most importantly, I want to say a special shout out to Moro. Moro stood her ground. She played the political game for me today, and I appreciate that. Mora has been a wonderful lady. We've been in the struggle together for quite a while. And Favor is a brother to me. We came from different places and we just
blend together.
And we became brothers.
That's humanity.
He's a good guy. Of course, Blessing also. Blessing has also been a great guy. The Blessing from Ogbomoso, you know. Number one lawyer, Ogbomoso, and most importantly, Dara. Dara is a model. I can't wait to start seeing her shows. She has massive words. And then, till next month when we come together for Talks with OS. Once again, I want to say a quick shout out to all our sponsors, Arrest Kitchen, Property Designs, Concord Design, OS World 1 out. OS World 1 is a lot now, yeah. So we just want to say thank you to everyone.